CTV News with Sarah Freemark.
Thanks so much for joining us. It's been 1 week since Mayor Alex Nuttall made national headlines by declaring a state of emergency over the homelessness crisis here in Barrie. Well, tonight he says not enough has been done and he's putting the province on notice. CTV's Luke Samar joins us live now with more on what that will mean for our region. Luke.
Well, Sarah, in a strongly worded letter to the Premier, Barrie Mayor Alex Nuttall calling on his office to come and visit the city to see the deplorable conditions to what the mayor says as lawless as the crisis reaches a breaking point. It only took days for the city of Barrie to remove an encampment on Mulcaster Street as the city continues to do its part in addressing encampments. Today, Barrie Mayor Alex Nuttall writing a letter to the province asking the government to strengthen their system of mandatory community-based and residential mental health care and addictions.
We need to look at compassionate intervention. We need to look at facilities that are specifically for folks who are in the most difficult of situations so that they can get that rehabilitation done and back out into society.
With the county creating 161 available spaces for those who need help, with more of a focus on affordable housing once encampments are gone.
Affordable housing as we move individuals through from entering rehabilitation, then into supportive housing and transitional housing, and then eventually to affordable housing.
With the encampments along Mulcaster now gone, businesses downtown say they are already seeing a change.
Since they've taken the encampment away. So we've noticed a little bit more on the street, but in the last couple days we've noticed that it's dissipated quite a bit for sure.
With businesses in the downtown area slowly seeing residents returning.
I know for a fact that we are still down probably 25%, and the foot traffic has definitely slowed down significantly over the last 3 or 4 years. And I think a lot has to do with the homeless.
The Barrie Chamber of Commerce doing what they can do to help businesses by releasing a survey as part of a multi-city study on the hidden costs of community safety administered on behalf of the working group by Loyalist College. That working group, 17 chambers across the province.
What we're trying to do is illustrate the additional expense and costs that are associated with some of the issues that are happening in our cities as they relate to encampments and housing and just social issues in general.
The survey is open to all residents and closes on November 30th.
It asks questions like, what things are you noticing in your community? Are you seeing theft? Are you seeing damage to property? Are you, and then on the other side, what are you doing to help out? And what things do you know that are happening in the community to help solve the problem?
CTV News did reach out to the province to ask if the Premier will be, in fact, visiting Barrie. The province declined to answer, but did refer us to a weeks-old statement regarding funding that has been provided to communities. Now it remains unclear if or when the Premier Ford will visit the city. Reporting live in Barrie, I'm Luke Samar, and Sarah, we'll send it back inside to you.
Thanks for that, Luke. Now, we will remind folks at home that we've launched a special page on our website where you can track updates about the state of emergency and the encampment. ctvnews.ca/Barrie. There's an encampment investigation button to click on. And as Barrie continues to address its growing housing crisis, other communities in the region are also taking action. The County of Simcoe is moving forward with an affordable housing redevelopment in Collingwood. Demolition has begun on the existing buildings at 29 and 45 Birch Street, where 9 old units will be replaced with modern 3-story buildings. The project will offer about 30 new affordable homes for modest income households built in an area with easy access to transit and amenities. As work begins on new affordable housing in our region, a new report out today reveals just how urgent that need is, highlighting the growing impact of the rising cost of living on all Canadians. According to the 2025 Poverty Report Card from Food Banks Canada, food insecurity and poverty across the country has risen almost 40% over the past 2 years.
What we're seeing now is low-income folks are spending well above 50% of their entire income on housing, on rent, and there just isn't any give left in their monthly budget to pay for food, to pay for other essentials, and there's no financial resilience going forward.
Overall, the report gives the federal government a D for its poverty reduction efforts. It also outlines that there are clear strategies and pathways to improve, emphasizing the importance of partnerships between governments, communities, and organizations. Well, we know that grocery bills continue to climb, and for many Canadians, it's the price of meat that's hitting hardest. CTV's Kathy Lee is in Alberta, known as cattle country, to take a look at what's driving the cost of beef and how consumers are trying to stretch the dollars.
The high price of meat, especially beef, is just something Canadians are going to have to live with for a while. A food expert CTV News spoke to says the reason for the increase in beef prices is because of dry weather that the U.S. Midwest and Western Canada experienced a few years ago. It meant there wasn't enough feed for the cattle, so farmers had to cut down the size of their herd.
What that means is there are fewer cows, and cows are really the factory of the beef industry. If calves aren't born, then you can't grow them into animals that are later harvested. So we have to rebuild our beef herd.
Shoppers I spoke to today say with the price of beef so high, they've either had to cut back or not eat it altogether or go with a different protein.
We just try to, buy as much as we can afford, and that's all we can do.
We live in a senior building. Some of the people in the building are struggling.
We eat other meat, and I try to eat at least a couple vegetarian meals a week.
As for how long the high cost will last, experts say it can take a few years until the price of beef softens.
Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
With all of this being said, the struggle to put food on the table is being felt right here at home, too. In Barrie, our local food bank has launched its annual Thanksgiving food drive, hoping to meet growing demand as more families turn to community support. The Barrie Food Bank is aiming to raise $250,000 and 150,000 pounds of food. Time now for our first look at weather. Casey Colby, I wasn't sure we were ever going to get you off the beach. You had far too much fun down at Centennial yesterday, although I don't know if the birds would agree.
Well, they got even later. Let's just leave it at that and talk about the fact that yet another, a beautiful day at the beach yesterday probably was just as gorgeous today, and it's a beautiful day right here in the garden, 33 Beacon Road, our CTV studios. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Let's talk about first weather, and here we go, diving into first weather. Brought to you by our friends at the graveldrivewayguy.com, your local gravel driveway expert. 24 degrees. Yeah, it is just lovely out here. Winds are light out of the east, 7 kilometers an hour. They're not going to gain much more than 7 to 10 this evening. As far as our temperature goes, 26 degrees in Gravenhurst as we speak, 21 in the Sunshine City of Orillia, 25 in Allison, 25 in Mount Forest, 24 in Toronto, and 22 degrees in Owen Sound Way, the home of the Sting. Well, no, it's not. It's not the Owen Sound Sting. It's the Sarnia Sting. Oh, I got to get my teams ready. Okay, radar satellite images, and as we take a look right now, we're seeing nothing but sunshine, very little cloud cover. I'm scanning the skies as we speak, and I don't see any cloud. It just is a slice of lovely. And coming up in just a few minutes' time, how long this slice of lovely continues, all that in a few minutes' time. I'm going to catch up on my hockey team. Sarah.
I feel the sting of lower temperatures are on the way. Thanks, Case. We are learning new details tonight about what forced a small plane to crash land near a sports field in Toronto yesterday. As CTV's Beth McDonnell reports, transportation safety officials believe an engine failure is to blame.
With its nose to the ground, the aircraft crash-landed nuzzled up against a fence right next to busy Monarch Park Stadium.
We're playing soccer right there. We just see like a plane that's flying really low, like lower than those lights, and we're like, wow, like, what's going on here? Like,
thing coming through the trees, and it looked like a big drone the way it was up with the lights and the trees. And I said, that's not a drone.
The kids were practicing for their soccer, just kind of going from the west side of the field to the east side of the field. And then it was out of sight, and then we heard a crash.
Miraculously, no one was hurt. All 3 people on board the Piper PA 28140 walked away. The crash around 8 at night, not injuring anyone below either.
Freaky, for no other word, to hear that a plane crash went down. Again, in a very populated neighborhood.
All is well that ends well. Lucky nobody got injured. I just hope that whatever authorities need to investigate, we get to the bottom of why it happened.
The Transportation Safety Board is investigating. It says the aircraft experienced engine failure while making a trip from Orillia to Billy Bishop Island Airport. It's not clear why it went down near Coxwell and Danforth in the east end of the city.
When the engine fails, basically you're in a gliding mode. They're going to be about 1,000 feet above the highest obstacle, so the pilot's going to be looking for a place to land.
The plane was being rented through Flight Club, a company with a platform putting together owners and pilots looking to fly regularly. It says for the most part, pilots who use the service already have their initial license, but can't share the credentials of this pilot.
The amount of information that this pilot sort of evaluated, took in, noticed the people on the field, noticed the busy traffic in the area, and landed basically in the parking lot was phenomenal.
The company says it's cooperating with authorities and will be studying the causes of the crash with the goal of implementing more safety features where possible. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
Severn Township has voted to move ahead with a photo radar program. Town councils say it will help target speeders in school and community safety zones. Cameras went live today, and the township says that more are on the way. Meanwhile, over in Vaughan, Mayor Stephen Del Duca is defending his city's decision to scrap its speed camera program.
In the areas where we had speed cameras previously in the city of Vaughan, when the cameras were not functioning, the average rate of speed in those areas was 48 kilometers an hour. That's 8 kilometers over. So I will admit that is going faster than the speed limit, but it's, to me anyway, not such an excessive number that we need to deal with it by way of speed cameras, especially since, as I said a moment ago, people in our community want us to invest in their safety at home, in their place of work, keeping their families safe. So that's what I'm focused on.
Meanwhile, Premier Doug Ford said today that an announcement on speed enforcement cameras is coming from the province, repeatedly calling it a cash grab. And the Premier made those comments during an annual tradition that brings Queen's Park to rural Ontario. We're talking about the International Plowing Match, which took place in the Niagara region this year. It's a fun event, but as CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris reports, leaders plowed into plenty of politics too.
The Premier at the controls trying to plow a straighter furrow than his political rivals.
Felt great. You just have a real respect for what the farmers do.
It's an annual tradition. MPPs ditch the suits and head out of the city to reconnect with rural voters at the International Plowing Match.
Thank you.
This was the first time Doug Ford has spoken publicly about the Prime Minister leaving development of the Ring of Fire off a list of nation-building projects to accelerate.
It's all right. I talked to him. It's going to be on the next tranche.
Ford expects something around Grey Cup time. That's mid-November. The Premier also confident Mark Carney will back his pet project, a tunnel under Highway 401.
Considering it's the busiest highway in North America and 50% of the GDP comes through Toronto, and it's costing us $58 billion of lost productivity, I think it's pretty national.
The opposition thinks it shows priorities that are out of whack with what people need.
When you start to clutter the list with what I would consider vanity projects like that, then you're not doing anybody any favors.
The Liberal presence at the plowing match was muted. Outgoing leader Bonnie Crombie sat this one out.
She just went through probably one of the most difficult times you can go through as a political leader. She needs some time.
Liberal MPPs who ran against Crombie not sure if they'll take another shot at leading the party.
I am thinking and trying to decide what I want to do.
And Adel's over here too. Adel, are you thinking about going again?
Too early to say.
This field trip for MPPs is the first time they've been together in these numbers since the House let out in June. They won't be back at Queen's Park until October 20th. Frustrating for opposition MPPs who'd like to be back in the legislature, poking holes in the Ford government record.
We should be passing legislation right now to legalize housing in this province.
Expect a continued focus this fall on a redrawing of school boards, the possible end of trustees. The Minister of Education defends going after small expenses filed by trustees operating in a $31 billion budget.
How do you go to a parent in a school who's being asked to give money and say, don't worry, it's only $1.22? And that is the exact reason why we're taking steps to get the system under control.
The new model for school boards will be announced before the end of the year. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
The Alberta government is calling it a Canadian first. The province is adding citizenship information to driver's licenses and provincial ID cards. Premier Danielle Smith says adding citizenship status to provincial IDs will help cut some red tape. The move is meant to streamline access to programs that require proof of citizenship, and the new cards will also include a healthcare number. The opposition says it's virtue signaling and could signal future service cuts. The new IDs will roll out when Albertans go to renew their licenses or ID cards. And a very big change coming to the Canadian government. Freeland is leaving federal politics to become Canada's special envoy on Ukraine. A long-time Liberal and outspoken critic of Russia, Freeland has Ukrainian roots and has been sanctioned by the Kremlin. The move comes as Prime Minister Mark Carney pushes for deeper Canadian involvement in ending the war. The dry summer in parts of the country might impact your Halloween decorating plans. Farmers with pumpkin patches have struggled with their crops this year due to drought and heat, meaning that your Halloween jack-o'-lantern could look a little different.
Usually a nice healthy plant will have 5 or 6 fruit on it for this variety and 3 or 4 fruit on it for this variety. But we're seeing plants here with just one single large fruit and then maybe a smaller fruit on it.
Farmers across Simcoe County are also expressing the same concerns, noting that specialty pumpkins were hit hardest. However, despite a shortage, there's promise that pumpkins will still be around. They might just be a little smaller this year. Nothing wrong with a petite pumpkin, if you ask me. Still to come here on CTV, a warm welcome for newcomers. How communities across Simcoe County are celebrating diversity and helping new residents feel right at home. Plus, a one-of-a-kind local library is celebrating 30 years of inspiring curiosity, creativity, and community connection. Stay with us. Those stories coming right up. Thanks for staying with us. It was a full house at Barrie Public Library today as first-time renters and newcomers turned out for a free Rent Smart certification workshop.
Renting is an agreement. One person agrees to pay for the temporary use of a house or an apartment owned by another person.
Hosted by Empower Simcoe, the session offered a crash course in rental agreements, budgeting, and tenant rights. Everything you need to know before signing a lease for the first time.
Tenant, you would want to communicate effectively with the landlord.
When newcomers come to Canada, they encounter barriers in terms of getting housing. And one of the challenges they face is that they don't have a good credit score because they're trying to build it here, nor do they have a housing history. So this program will help them to learn their rights as landlord, the tenant landlord rights. To help them with budgeting in terms of how much they should be asking for housing. So it's really to really educate them and to kind of give them that financial blueprint that they need.
The event is just one of many that's happening this week as part of the County of Simcoe's annual Week of Welcome, an initiative to welcome newcomers as they begin their journey into our community. Now, the Week of Welcome kicked off yesterday with a citizenship ceremony. 36 new Canadians from 14 different countries took the oath and officially joined the Canadian family. Warden Basil Clark called it an honor to celebrate this milestone with Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, saying it's a proud moment for our region. The Blue Mountains Public Library is known for being a place to learn, laugh, and be inspired, and this year it's celebrating 30 years. The building itself is a one-of-a-kind landmark designed to spark curiosity and welcome explorers of all ages. From innovative programming to striking architecture, it's a space where knowledge takes many forms, and it all began with the vision of a local man, a character every bit as remarkable as the community hub he helped create.
We always have people coming back in and saying, I was in 3 months ago and I can't stop thinking about that painting. And that really is what we're all about. We want to reach out to you. We want to touch your life in a positive way.
Now, the Blue Mountains Library is setting its sights on expansion, but no timeline has been put in place for that project yet. Casino Rama is turning up the volume this fall with a jam-packed lineup.
I still want you, don't mean to taunt you. If you leave now, I'll come back and haunt you.
June Juno winners, Mariana's Trench, there they are there, will be coming for one night only on December 6th. And if you're feeling the holiday spirit, Elvis, a Christmas special featuring Pete Paquette, is on stage on December 4th. Or get dazzled by the Cirque-style spectacular Holiday Dreams on December 12th. Tickets are on sale now. And speaking of shows, the season finale of The Amazing Race Canada is tonight, and the setting, a familiar one for us.
Teams must now make their way to the abandoned Collingwood grain terminals.
Here, in an amazing race first, teams will find the double roadblock.
The Final Four teams battle for top honors in Collingwood for what's described as a heart-pounding showdown where the ultimate test of agility, skill, and teamwork awaits. We spoke with the executive director about why this show decided to wrap up at a spot here in our region.
I think Collingwood is one of those great places where it's got a town of people that do a lot of different things, but it's also a playground for people in Ontario. So you've got Collingwood, the city, you've got Nottawasaga Bay, you've got Georgian Bay, you've got cottages, and you've also got Blue Mountain, which is a wonderful playground all year round.
Tonight's episode is at 9 p.m. on CTV2, and it's a worldwide franchise first double roadblock where racers split up and push their limits like never before. A reminder, we have a lot of great content on our website, including local stories, breaking news, weather updates, and full-length interviews. You can see it all at ctvnews.ca/Barrie or scan the QR code on your screen. After the break, losing a Hollywood legend, Robert Redford has passed away. We'll look at how his roles went well beyond the screen. That's on the other side of the break, but right now, let's check in with Case.
We were at the beach last night, still a good place to be, and a dip in the water. Well, 19 degrees for Lake Simcoe, Georgian Bay 19, and how about Lake Huron? 20-degree water temperature. Everybody in for a swim, except our weather watcher. Have a look. Yes, Abigail says, look at this, tornado in the pumpkin patch, and it's picked up, looks like some apples and even an eggplant. Well done, you're watching CTV News Barrie.
Picture this, brought to you by Bounce 1041 and Pure Country 106.
That is certainly an action shot if we've ever seen one. Thank you to everyone who sent in photos. We're just looking for things full of movement, leaves falling, bike rides, outdoor play, dogs catching a Frisbee. CTV.ca. I'll picture this at CTV.ca all week long. Let's head outside. That's where Casey Colby is. I'm doing my very best, Casey, but my vocal cords, they're not holding up so well. You got any suggestions for me?
Yes, a little green tea with some lemon.
So your top drawer, I'm often digging through that, so now I've got another reason to do it.
I notice I'm missing a few bars, too. I can't help but wonder if they're... Okay, well, it's good to snack and share. That's what we have to do. We have to share for our fellow work employees, right? That's what we have to do. Mother Nature's sharing some late summer magic. And how long is it going to last? Well, temperature-wise, I think you're going to like this. Let's continue on right now and wonder what the temperature is outside your door. We happen to have a live map right here, updated as per Environment Canada. 24 degrees in Newmarket, 25 in Alliston, 21 in Owen Sound. Attack, the official team there. I'll get it straight. Sarnia Sting. It's been a while. 23 in Perry Sound and 25 degrees in Gravenhurst. Hockey season. He's talking hockey. 25 and 7. That's the high. That's the low. Yeah. And a record 31 degrees in 1991. Record low stretching back to 2007. 0.5. Sunrise, sunset. 12 hours and 24 minutes of daylight. Roll that forecast radar for me, Adam, please. And as you can see, yet another lovely evening. Absolutely lovely. Go for a walk, enjoy yourself. Yeah, right on the water too sounds nice, doesn't it? A little sailboat action. Oh, I'm ready. Let's go. Southern tip of Georgian Bay, Lake Simcoe. Overnight temperatures 9 and 11. 11 in Owen Sound, 9 degrees everywhere else. Some low-lying fog under clear skies for when you're counting those stars. And then for tomorrow, 25 degrees and plenty of sunshine yet again. Plenty of sunshine. Put a hat on. It's always a good idea. Orangeville, Bradford, Georgina, Newmarket, Richmond Hill, 8 and 11 degrees, clear skies, some fog rolling in this evening. Same as last night, the night before that. 26 degrees tomorrow, sunny skies. Hello, sunny. And to Parry Sound, Huntsville, Bracebridge, Gravenhurst, Haliburton, 8 and 10 degrees overnight. Clear skies, a little low-lying fog right throughout our entire region. And then for tomorrow, 24 and 25 degrees. Sunny skies. Boy, that sounds good to see. Look at those temperatures. Will they last? Well, that's tonight and tomorrow. Now time for the Diamond and Diamond Lawyers 5-day extended forecast. That's where the answer is, ladies and gentlemen. And Simcoe County, here we go. Well, how about Thursday, 23 degrees, a sun and cloud mix. Oh, so slight chance of a passing shower. And then we start a little bit of a dip. Friday, fair skies, 20 degrees, 19 on Saturday, sun and cloud, and then we're going back up. 23 degrees on Sunday and sun and cloud. This is the 5-day extended forecast for York Region, and at this point it looks like just a 30% chance of a passing shower on Thursday, 26 degrees. Milder, 20 degrees on Friday is what we're looking at, sun and cloud, and the fair skies ride right through the weekend. Saturday and Sunday, 18 and 23 degrees. This is a look at the 5-day extended forecast, Muskoka, Parry Sound, Haliburton. And on the 24th, and make that, I should say, on the Thursday, 24 degrees. Yeah, it could feel a little warmer, of course, with the humidex a little bit, and the 30% chance of a shower, predominantly sunny skies. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it looks like we're looking at fair skies, 17, 18, and 20 degrees. So the lovely temperatures and the sunny conditions, for the most part, continue. Summer does not want to leave us just yet. Sarah.
All right, thanks very much, Casey. Now we're turning to some sad news out of the world of entertainment. Oscar-winning actor Robert Redford has died at the age of 89. CTV's Andrea Case takes a look back at his legacy.
There are movie stars, and then there was Charles Robert Redford Jr. Born in Santa Monica, California in 1936, his acting career began on television in 1959. He moved on to Broadway, and then came the movies. His good looks cemented his leading man status. But Redford was more than just a pretty face and turned down acting roles which he thought would stereotype him.
Well, that ought to do it.
Use enough dynamite there, Butch?
Robert Redford was someone who I think wasn't always given credit for his enormous talent as an actor, simply because he was too good looking. He had the Brad Pitt syndrome that people, I think for a while, just refused to take him as seriously as he deserved to be taken as an actor. But then you look at those films and you place them back to back to back. You see how different they all are, and you see that the common link is Robert Redford.
Marvin, what do we do now?
He made his directorial debut with the family drama Ordinary People in 1980. It garnered him his first Academy Award. Redford stood for many issues, his star power attracting attention to causes which included political activism, the environment, Native American and Indigenous peoples' rights, and LGBTQ rights. In 1981, he created the Sundance Institute, named after his Sundance character, and in 1985, the Sundance Film Festival was born, taking place where he lived in Utah in the middle of winter.
Our job and our role is to create a space and a platform to bring new voices and new ways of seeing the world using independent film.
Redford was married twice and had 4 children and 7 grandchildren. He died in his sleep this morning at home in Utah, surrounded by those he loved. Robert Redford was 89.
And legendary Canadian children's author Robert Munsch has been approved for medical assistance in dying. A New York Times profile reveals the 80-year-old applied for MAID not long after his dementia diagnosis, which he publicly shared in 2021. Munsch is beloved for his more than 70 children's books, including The Paper Bag Princess, a beautiful story, and Love You Forever. Canadian icon Neil Young is about to celebrate a milestone birthday, and there will be a big party in Toronto.
Wanna see you dance again because I'm still in love with you.
More than a dozen Canadian musicians plan to mark his 80th birthday with a fundraiser at Massey Hall in November. Serena Ryder, Dallas Green, and Jim Cuddy and Donovan Woods are among the artists in the lineup. Now, organizers say the set list will span Young's entire catalog of music, which dates back to 1969. Proceeds from the concert will go to the music education charity Music Counts. Neil Young himself has, of course, been invited to the party, but it's not yet clear if he'll attend. Tickets go on sale on Friday morning. If you're a man 65 and older, you'll want to stay tuned. We'll share more on the first-of-its-kind program in Canada that's promoting life-saving early detection and prevention of potentially deadly ruptures. You're watching CTV News Barrie. Recapping our top stories, Barrie Mayor Alex Nuttall is putting the province on notice. In the strongly worded letter sent to the Premier, the Mayor is calling on his office to come visit and see the deplorable conditions he's referred to as lawless, saying the homelessness crisis is at a breaking point. Transport Canada is investigating after a small plane with 3 people on board crash-landed near a high school in Toronto's East End last night. Police were called to the scene near a soccer field around 8 p.m. No injuries were reported, but there were reports of a strong fuel smell. A hazmat team quickly responded to the issue and mitigated the risk to the public. And Severn Township has voted to move ahead with a photo radar program. Town Council says it will help target speeders in school and community safety zones. Cameras went live today, and the township says more are on the way, but Premier Doug Ford said today that an announcement on speed enforcement cameras is still coming from the province soon. The verdict has been delivered in the sexual assault trial of Toronto City Councillor Michael Thompson. A Midland courtroom heard the decision today following allegations that the longtime politician sexually assaulted 2 women at a cottage. CTV's Mike Arcelidis reports, but first a warning, some viewers may find this story triggering.
Following an 11-month trial, Scarborough councillor Michael Thompson has been found not guilty of 2 counts of sexual assault. Before leaving the courthouse, Thompson made stunning allegations, insinuating he was set up, and his criminal charges were the result of something politically motivated.
Sexual assault is wrong. Sexual assault happens. I did not sexually assault anyone. And I think it's really important to understand that there are forces, and I'm aware as to who they are, have created this condition and situation where I've had to go through almost 3 years of hell.
The decision to acquit was made by Justice Philip John Brissett, who ruled the Crown failed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt Thompson sexually assaulted either of the complainants during a Canada Day long weekend getaway 3 years ago, when the younger women said Thompson took advantage of them sexually. The judge said Thompson was a fairly reliable and relatively credible witness with some concerns, alluding to Thompson's tendency to not answer questions directly. I believe Thompson's firm and clear denial of the accusations, said Justice Brissett, on the first count of sexual assault relating to allegations he touched one of the women on her breasts and backside while applying sunscreen to her body while on the dock. The judge noted none of the women witnessed the alleged sexual touching. The second complainant said she was blackout drunk when Thompson woke her up in the middle of the night, took her to his room, and forced her to perform a sex act. Justice Brissett described how the woman's intoxication appeared to affect her memory. His lawyer Leora Shemish described the accusations made by the women as a witch hunt. Justice Brissett said he found it hard to believe Thompson did not see any of the women intoxicated, questioning Thompson's testimony when he said he had no desire to engage in sexual activity that weekend, calling his actions inconsistent with his testimony. Brissett concluding, however, quote, there are too many significant reliability concerns from the complainant required to convict Thompson. Thompson said he invited the guests over for a relaxing weekend and did nothing wrong, crying on the witness stand as he defended his reputation.
People who make these claims and allegations, which are not true, but as I understand, there are no consequences associated with it. I think we have to review how those things occur and what action should be taken against people who falsely accuse people of sexual assault and so on. Having had this experience.
Thompson wouldn't say whether this decision will have any effect on his future in politics, including whether he'll run next year. Mike Arcelidis, CTV News, Midland.
Ontario has launched a new abdominal aortic aneurysm screening program, and one of the hospitals that's embracing the first-of-its-kind program here in Canada found right here in our region. So joining us now in the CTV Barrie studio to talk more about that from South Lake Health is interventional cardiologist and chief of cardiac health, Dr. Chris Overgaard. It's great to meet you in person.
Great to meet you. Great to be here.
This is something that many of our viewers may not be familiar with, doctor. So can you explain what an abdominal aortic aneurysm is? Why can it be deadly? And how do we catch that issue early on?
Great. So an abdominal aortic aneurysm basically is an outpouching of the normal wall of the aorta. The aorta is the largest artery in our body that comes from the heart and feeds the whole body. And if you get an outpouching, that can continue to expand and then rupture. And when it does, patients can have a fatal bleeding event and they need emergency surgery for this.
What can cause that?
So the number one risk factor for this is actually smoking. The other things that are related are family history, being over 65 and being male. High blood pressure and cholesterol can also cause this as well.
What would you tell somebody at home that's being encouraged to participate in this program? They're 65 plus. What would you tell them if they're feeling a little hesitant about it?
So I would just say that it's a great program because it's very easy. It takes very little effort to be involved. All you need to do is tell your family physician about it, or they will tell you. You go to an ultrasound lab and they do an ultrasound and they look at the size of your aorta. And if it's above, let's say 3.3 centimeters, then they would start screening you more regularly. And when it gets to a certain size, that's when they would consider doing some intervention on it.
Let's talk more about the program. So as I mentioned, first of its kind in Canada. Why is this unique and how is it saving lives?
So, I mean, there are other screening programs. We all know about colonoscopy screening, mammogram screening. This is an example of a vascular screening program that I think is very good because it's so easy. And this is the kind of problem that patients don't know they have until it's almost fatal or can be fatal. And so I'm really excited about this because it's an example of something that takes very little time to do and it's going to save lives down the road.
If it does get to the point where somebody requires surgery, what does that look like?
So it's much better to have any kind of surgery elective, meaning it's done in a planned, controlled way, than it is emergency. So what we're trying to do here is see this problem coming and then fix the problem before it becomes an emergency. There's several ways to fix it. You can do an open surgery where you cut open the abdomen and repair with surgery, and you can also go up with a stent through the artery and actually put a stent in to prevent it from rupturing.
Okay. A lot of great information there, and appreciate not only you coming into the studio, but the work that you do. It's very, very crucial.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy with this program and excited.
Let's remind our viewers that they can go to the CTV Barrie website, not only to revisit this interview, but there is additional information there, ctvnews.ca/Barrie. In Georgian Bay, first responders are training for a way to locate missing vulnerable people faster. It's already proven successful in other communities, and locally, officers say it could be life-saving. CTV's Jack Morse joins us live now with more on how the technology works and the impact it could have on families. Jack.
Well, Sarah, it's already being used, this tool, in Barrie, Collingwood, and South Simcoe. But now, thanks to a donation from Charlotte Health Services, the South Georgian Bay OPP have one too. It might not sound like much, but that noise is helping police find missing people.
It can make the difference between life or death for someone.
It's an FM receiver, one half of Project Lifesaver. The other piece, this, an FM transmitter with a unique code worn by people who might wander off.
People who have dementia, diagnosis of Alzheimer's, memory loss, anything like that.
The receiver can detect the transponder within 2.5 kilometers. Police in southern Georgian Bay were learning to use the new tech today.
He did fantastic. Absolutely. We just ran through the training this morning, and he was the first one to go through the scenario, and he nailed it.
The program is run by the Alzheimer's Society of Simcoe County. You can reach out to them to see if an FM transponder is right for your loved one. It's a small device, worn like a watch, but as part of a massive search for a missing person, it can save precious time.
People never go missing fully clothed for the elements. It's either raining and they don't have a raincoat on, or if it's really freezing cold out, they may not have a jacket on or anything of that nature. So, you know, minutes will make a world of difference.
It's more reliable than trying to track a cell phone and can be used in all kinds of challenging environments.
It'll work in dense forest, it'll work in underground parking garages that are cement heavy, and it'll also work in bodies of water. So this is really where we can have a pretty robust search and rescue regardless of the elements.
It's just a little beep, but may well save a life. Now, South Georgian Bay OPP are looking to get all their officers trained on the new tech. But for now, if someone with a transponder goes missing, it'll be one of the officers trained today who will be on the scene trying to find them. Reporting live, I'm Jack Moore. Sarah, back to you.
Very interesting. Thanks for that, Jack. Let's talk about Canada's inflation rate because it rose slightly last month with a smaller than expected drop in gas price fueling that increase. Stats Canada reports the consumer price index increased 1.9% in August, a slight increase from the 1.7% bump in July. All eyes now turn to the Bank of Canada, which will release its interest rate decision tomorrow. With inflation ticking up and the Bank of Canada's next move coming, investors are watching closely. Let's go ahead and take a look at how the markets are reacting today. The TSX was down 115 points, the Dow was down 125, and the Nasdaq was down 14. And commodities, oil was up to close at $64.52 a barrel. Gold was up to finish at $37.29 an ounce, and our dollar was up to end the day at 72.74 cents US. In other business news, a luxury automaker is going after a new market with its latest model. Take a look at this. It's an Aston Martin baby stroller, a collaboration with car seat brand Egg. The stroller has a starting price tag of about $4,000 and will be available in the UK later this year. New Brunswick-based Moosehead Breweries is giving customers a chance to take home the final bottle ever made by the company. The launch of the Last Bottle contest comes as the brewery announced it will stop selling its beer bottles by the end of the year, moving to kegs and cans only. The contest runs until October 27th. Still to come, extra innings, extra drama. The Jays pull off a thriller against the Rays and set a new franchise record in the process. Details next here on CTV Barrie. Here's a look at your primetime lineup. Nellie Knows Mysteries, a fatal engagement, starts at 8, followed by Criminal Minds at 10 p.m. and CTV News Barrie at 11. The red-hot Toronto Blue Jays are looking for their 6th straight win tonight after yet another come-from-behind win in Tampa last night.
Base hit into left field. And Ernie Clement is rounding third and on his way in to score the go-ahead run.
George Springer drove in the winning run in the 11th as the Jays edged the Rays 2-1. Trey Yuscavage made a statement in his MLB debut, striking out 9 to set a franchise record. With the win, Toronto now holds a 5-game lead over the Yankees in the AL East. Jose Barrios gets a start tonight as the Jays look to keep rolling. And take a look at this rare playful sight. People spending the day at Alta Lake in BC were lucky enough to see a pair of young bears playing. A canoe and kayak company captured the footage and posted with the caption, "It doesn't get much more Canadian than this." Well, Case, there's often wildlife sightings in and around Bob's Garden. What do you think the most unique sighting has been?
The most unique sighting?
Yeah, that you've seen in the garden.
Wildlife comes in many forms out here. I'm not even so sure I can maybe share it. We've seen lots of things we don't talk about out here, but bears not one of them. No, the bears, they're not out here, that's for sure. Everything else sometimes is, but yeah, they get up and go. Let's get to it, shall we? Get up and go first thing tomorrow morning. How about 11 degrees and plenty of sunshine in Barrie and plenty of sunshine in Newmarket, Gravenhurst, 9 degrees. Enjoy your evening, Sarah.
That is our newscast on this Tuesday night. I am Sarah Freemark. I will not be on the desk tomorrow night, but I will be live on location. So not only does Jack Morris have your news at 11, he'll be here for you tomorrow night at 6. So will I, but in a different capacity. Good night.